What's up, everyone? You're probably all gonna hate to hear this. I hate to say it. Brad hated saying it. We all just fucking hated it. But this week was actually a good week. We fumbled the fuck out of it. So break it down, get into it. Yeah, there's gonna be a few things that I'll speak on throughout this, just in regards to what probably led to this week being fumbled, and a lot of it comes down to verbalizing specific things. So coming into the week. Obviously, we're at the bottom of a bearish leg. If I just zoom out on a higher time frame here, get cracking on it. All right, sweet. Sup, big fella? What's going on?
Hey,
Didn't think
hey.
anyone was going to be here. Good to see ya. All right, this week was fumbled fucking hard. So, bit of frustration coming out in this call, don't mind me. All right, coming into it, mitigating this point, obviously supply to demand area that had taken liquidity, bottom of a new leg, expecting that retracement. Retracement makes sense. On the Monday, we had 5 minute break, 5 minute break. This high had taken that high, so it's a valid supply in itself. Also, the high outside of Asia does validate it as a medium inducement. There is an entry in there that you could have taken. I've got it labeled as a gray area. The reason I've got it labeled as a gray area, if we look at our smart money point, even if you're fine, I think at the time I had it down there like that. Cool. That is a supply to demand off the back of a medium inducement, but being a supply to demand that has taken liquidity, do need to confirm it as a smart money trap. Now, given it's a medium inducement, you can get away without it, but I always prefer to be able to confirm my points and not just assume that they're going to hold, especially when it's like a valid point like this. If it hasn't taken any liquidity, it's just a shit point, fuck, whatever. But always want to confirm nonetheless. But you do have one inducement. This is the one that I know Cal took and went break even too early on. Second inducement. I wanted to set this, but I wanted to confirm this first, which obviously it didn't. It just ran through. Um, I don't remember how Cal managed this, which I know he's probably looking at it like, why did I manage it that way too? But yeah, you could have set that, but you have to assume that that point's not going to hold. You are going to have to cover that high in case it does want to do something like that. But yeah, the issue with this is obviously the fact that the only thing that it can really induce if it is going to be a smart money trap is way up here, unless it wants to do a two leg, but we never know that and can't obviously guarantee that until that happens. So bit of a tricky one. It is grey area, which is why I haven't got it marked out. From there, you've got nothing you can work with. Not even going to look at New York because I'm not trading New York anymore. Cool. All right, Tuesday. We understand the reaction of this complex pullback down to the mitigation. We've got no liquidity really generated there. It's very, very strong in terms of the momentum. We're also off the back of that inducement, which is a really, really strong inducement in itself. So this break here more or less starts to show potential of this point being a smart money trap. So not looking to buy down inside here, obviously against that's momentum as well. Don't want to try and buy against it. It is just a bit of a recipe for disaster. So invalid area, complex pullback, and Asia low. Now, in a different sort of scenario, this is a valid demand. So would be happy to use this as a medium inducement, but giving context of complex pullback, that inducement, and this point potentially being a smart money trap, I don't want to use it in that way. So Asia low, medium inducement always is down to context. Cool. Alrighty. Wednesday. This is a loss that a lot of us took. So let's move that out of my way a little bit. We've got fella take here, inducement, more or less a break of structure, just given that we've got break, but nonetheless, it is an inducement mitigation of this area, which obviously has taken liquidity, and we've got all that liquidity into it. Little bit of a build up down here, so it's not too bad. Obviously, this as well is the high outside of Asia, but we've also taken a couple of highs outside of Asia. What we also had as well, if I drop down to the 1 minute, make it a little easier to read. You've got that break low, break high into the mitigation. So you've got really, really good manipulation just here. From there, you have a obviously supply to demand, which has taken liquidity and broken, pushed us down into this 5 minute point. What we then had was inducement of that supply to demand, potential smart money trap. Cool. Little break high, respecting that high, breaking that low, confirming this as a smart money trap, entering there, covering that high. I think I'm actually, I had that at a 3.8. So I just stayed in there, looking to go break even when we take this low, given that this inducement high and that break low should have been enough to confirm this area as a smart money trap. Now, given that we've got heaps of imbalance still up inside of here, this was the 2 minute point that we're yet to mitigate. When we took this low, that does start to become an inducement. So we could have gone break even there aggressively, given that we got into the trade aggressively. So you can manage it that way if you want to, but at the end of the day, this is a valid inducement. This is also a valid break, potentially confirming this. So it's not a bad loss. It's definitely a valid loss, but could have potentially been avoided, but not mad about it by any means. So that's all good. But you've got that there. Now, this is where I believe a lot of the errors from this week came from. This is going to skip really far. So if we think about where we're at for the week, right? Cool. You've had Monday, gray area trade. Maybe you took it, maybe you didn't take it. Sup iPhone 120. Who is that? I'd love to know. That's Cal. Sweet. Sup, bro. Sup. Oh no, you're good. You're good. Yeah, so you've got obviously the Monday set up there. So maybe you took it, maybe you didn't take it. Maybe you're like, fuck, I could have taken it, would have ran. Maybe you took it, like obviously you took Cal, mismanaged it, took a break even. So you've got frustration build up, nothing left for that day. Tuesday, nothing. Frustration build up. Fuck, we're midweek, there's been nothing yet. Or maybe I missed a potential trade. Wednesday, valid loss that runs and hits your take profit. Fuck's sake. I've been right every day, hasn't been a trade, blah, blah, blah. It's Thursday now. I haven't caught anything. Fuck this week's shit. This is bullshit. This sucks. Fucking price action, blah, blah, blah. We're just in the wrong mindset coming into the rest of the week, which is where the trades ended up coming from. So I think that's where a lot of the fumbling, I know for me, 100%, it's where it came from, especially not being able to be on Wednesday and catch the sell that was on GU and ended up taking that EU loss. Like that's just, I definitely let the build up at the start of the week get to my head and fucking ruin the rest of my week. So I think that's what probably happened to a lot of us, as there was a few of us in the chat being like, "Oh, price is annoying this week, price is shit," that sort of stuff. And I think that's where it all stemmed from personally. Could be wrong for some people. I might be making an assumption, but I know for Brad and I, that's the conclusion that we've got. So yeah, definitely got down our heads a bit. Cool. All right. And then if we look at, mark that out because I can push through. Oops. The Thursday, we are mitigating this area, which is a demand to supply that's taken liquidity. Cool. Obviously, we've taken all this structure into it. We have also induced that point there into the mitigation of that area during Asia. What we then have out of the mitigation of that point, 5 minute break, demand to supply. You then have inducement of demand to supply, break low. So now we've got a valid supply. We've got this point, which realistically speaking is a nothing point. It hasn't really taken any liquidity. We've got no liquidity into it. Obviously, we've taken this, but we know that follows a 5-minute structure cycle, so it doesn't make too much impact. But had a medium inducement here, really strong mitigation. This should always outweigh this, and this should always outweigh the liquidity that's built up in this range, given that we don't really have anything there. So we now just need to confirm this point as a smart money trap. Retesting that 5-minute break, breaking low. Cool. All right. So now we've got an inducement point, valid supply, valid structure cycle. Inducement low. Cool. So now we've got inducement, inducement. So we've got a valid high into the mitigation of our extreme supply. Sweet. We're also inducing an internal demand to supply point there as well. Cool. Completion of structure cycle. So now that we're completing that bearish structure cycle on the 5-minute, we know that every demand shouldn't hold. Simple rules of the structure cycle, right? Cool. Sweet. Inducement, 2 breaks, even better. Mitigating our last area up inside, obviously, the leg. Confirming smart money trap if we can break a low. Low is broken. You can either have it set there initially straight away like that, or if you sit slightly more conservative, obviously we're building a little bit of retest. Jeez, storm rolling over. A little bit of retest confirmed there. Set it off the retest. Sweet, happy days. Tagged in straight away, or your market executed somewhere in there because you couldn't get your limit on and you're freaking out because you're trying to get in the trade and you don't want to miss it. And you are break even when we push through this demand because we know that that's been confirmed as a smart money trap the minute we broke this low. So there's no need to go break even yet. Wait till we take it. Hold through all that fun. Cool. Break even. Sweet. Obviously expecting this to get pushed through given the structure cycle. Targeting 1 to 3, which is just that area there. Supply to demand inducement. Next low outside of Asia low, medium inducement target. Sweet. Gets you 1 to 3. Even if you just set it literally at 1 to 3. What does that put you? Kind of in the mitigation of that area. Sweet. Good to go. Ends up mitigating that bottom point. Got your hopes up and then took you out of break even anyway. Cool. Follow break even. Internal read, got to really follow along with price action. But this is another thing that was really, I think, skimmed over coming into this week a little bit. And I'm going to say this is off the back of frustration and wanting to catch a trade. If we look at our London window is here, right? Nothing happened inside of our London window besides building the structure and setting the structure up that was needed for the trade to come later on. So that's obviously really late London session, right? So that's 8:30 p.m. Queensland time. Yeah, what? An hour and a half pre New York crossover. So New York Stock Exchange open. Done nothing but develop structure, but this is where it's just important to go, all right, cool. Broken this low, sweet. What do I need to see now to be able to catch a trade? I need this to confirm it's a smart money trap. So first, I've got my alert set there because when we're here, that's our next point to come into the mitigation of that. Really, really good inducement. So if we can come up there and induce that, that's fantastic. Really good spot. But we're still watching through all of this. In case it does obviously come up there, is it's in our window. But what happens in our window? We get that break. Okay, cool. Readjust. Awesome. We need to induce that and come up into here. Sweet. We set an alert here. We set an alert there. When we take this, we can start watching straight away. So you're probably on watching, realistically speaking, the whole time until the entry, and that's just part of the fun. Or as you're dancing around inside of here and not really doing anything, you're setting your alert there. Sweet, happy days. But that's just really a matter of you can get away with not sitting through this if you're smart and prepared for what you need to see. Knowing that we can't do anything here, we need to do something here. Cool. So maybe you're watching it until you're kind of like here. You're like, all right, sweet. I got my alert. I'll set my alert here. Oh, cool. Like that alert's gone off. Mad. Cool. Reset. Alert. Alert. Done. Jump back off. Wait till one of those alerts go off and you're good. So what? You're another 15 minutes before your alert goes off, right? 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. Save some brain power. Cool. Jump back on, have a squeeze. But it's really just being prepared with price, and that comes from a place of being neutral. Like the only way you're going to analyze like that is if you're neutral with your mindset, not from a place of frustration, because then you'll just go, this price is shit. Cool. And then Friday, and this is quite frankly the trade of the week. And I think the reason that this one was missed is just mental exhaustion, just pure mental exhaustion from the week. It's Friday, I hadn't really caught anything yet other than like the loss and that sort of shit. Um, so yeah, fumble on the Friday, but this is just an absolute banger of a trade. Really, really nice inducement, demand to supply that's taken liquidity. If we also look at where we're at inside of that leg now as well, we're really deep inside of that bearish leg that we've got. So that structure cycle makes sense for it to potentially start playing out and continuing bearish. What do we have after that medium inducement or even major inducement? You get that 15-minute bearish break. Now, this is around that 50% of Asia. I believe it might have also been, from memory, a supply to demand. Either way, it's a valid demand, two leg, 50% of Asia, medium inducement. We are valid to be looking for sells there. Buyers there straight away. So if we have a look, beautiful. This point here is a demand to supply that has taken liquidity. So that's our target. That's our next medium inducement. Looking for buys, looking for buys, looking for buys. Not really anything inside of there. I know some people talk trade inside of there, but after Brad and I have reviewed it, there's just not really anything. It's all 30-second garbage, really. Yeah. 30-second break, mitigation, another 30-second break, retest, and just retest. And then one, two, another couple of breaks. Yeah, it could potentially take something like that, but it is really, really, really average, and you're only a one-to-one to your next medium inducement. Doesn't make sense to take it. Cool. Now we've got a medium inducement. Perfect. So we're valid to look for sells. Nothing, nothing. Don't want to be getting in. Medium inducement because it is a demand to supply. So if I get rid of this, demand area, that's obviously that first point. There's a 10-minute area. Yeah. The 10-minute point, or you can obviously mark out that whole bearish leg, either, whether you want to get specific with it or not. Demand to supply has swept liquidity here. So it's a valid supply area. So decisional of that break, demand to supply, valid supply through liquidity sweep. So just viewing it from that side of things. Cool. Does that make sense? How does 1 minute structure? Yeah, fair, fair, fair. So the reason I view it as more than 1 minute structure, we've got our first internal 15-minute break there. So obviously our external range on the 15-minute is fuck huge, really. At the very least, that, but valid 15-minute internal low, or you view it as 5 minute. Obviously, it's taken liquidity, retest, so you can use that as your external 5 minutes. So we've got an external 5 minute break. So then if we look at cool, extreme, just simple structure cycle stuff, obviously, whether you mark out that leg or that leg, it's fine. It's probably a 15-minute point there, I'm going to say, which is probably that bullish leg. Yeah. So that bullish leg, there's the 15-minute. Either you mark out sweet. So we've got our extreme and we've got our decisional. The two components, obviously, your main leg structure cycle. Are you guys able to unmute?
Yeah,
You can? All right, sweet. Yeah. Yeah. I know you're in the car, Cal, but if you want to, bro, feel free to unmute. Um, yeah, so you've got extreme, decisional, cool. All right, awesome. So we've got demand to supply, decisional of the break. So the reason I view it as more than 1 minute structure is because of its relevance to the 5 minute range. And we can also see it's like a 5 minute high, right? So we're following like 5 minute structure, um, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Sweet. Cool. So then from there, sweet. Got that 5 minute break. So now we've got another valid high, right? So we've had that medium inducement, liquidity sweep, valid supply. What this is also confirming for us is that after we've had that massive inducement there, that major inducement, we've now got one inducement. So we've had inducement supply, break, inducement supply, break. So now we're starting to line up our time frames with that higher time frame um, analysis and ranges that we've got there. It's now rinsing and repeating. Cool. 5 minute range, demand, supply that has taken liquidity, right? So another really strong inducement. So now you've got high time frame inducement. We've got next inducement. We've now got another inducement inside of our range. So if we can now confirm reverse price action, you're good to go. So you can take the first break, but given the first break is internal, so really like that's your 1 minute break there, right? So obviously there's your low, there's your break, simple. So obviously that's internal. I wouldn't want to take the first break when it's internal like that. If this had done that and then that first break, different story because it's obviously a more external break, but obviously, yeah, internal. So wait for the second one. Good to go. Cover the high because we can get that inducement mitigation. Cool. But now understand that we've induced the decisional of that break. We've now got internal price action confirming that we're following with that bearish range. We know that this area shouldn't hold through the rules of the structure cycle. So our break even is the break of that low. Holding through all this fun, but then mark this out as well. So there's your smart money point. Can come and induce this. and we can mitigate that top point. Cool. Now that's also not a terrible entry by any means. The only issue with this entry is you're just really low. So obviously, like you break even here, like you don't have a whole lot of room. It's not a bad entry by any means, but if you're catching that, if you're aware enough to catch that, you've already caught that. So you're obviously not going to take that second stab at it, unless you want to try and scale in, which is fair enough. But also valid entry in case you did happen to miss that first one, you can also take that. Break even, and then you pipped out. Even on this one as well, before I move on, you do have obviously that pullback there into the break. So it's like 30-second retest. If you wanted to wait for that little bit of retest, setting it like that, where for me, if I was to take that, that's how I'd set it. I would have waited for that little bit of retest. Um, yeah, it's obviously not much, but more so just the movement of price to confirm that it's a break and not an inducement low. Cool. Issue with that one as well. So your medium inducement target is only a 1 to 1.8. Understanding targets for this one though. So you've got medium inducement, obviously low outside of Asia. You've then got demand area that has taken liquidity, which is a demand to supply. So there's two ways you can go about it. One, in this situation, given the context of the week, fucking you're probably just running your 1 to 3. Get in there, fuck off with the week, move on from it. But given what we've taken, where we're positioned in the structure cycle, you can very well hold. If we think about like our next significant inducement, it's more or less this point. Right, a more significant 15-minute low that's taken more significant liquidity. So you can very well partial your 1 to 3 or even partialing there at 1 to 2.85 or 2.8, whatever. And then taking the 1 to 5.5, whatever that works out to be, 2.7, fucking whatever, about 4R. But even just taking mitigation 1 to 3, fuck, just round it to 1.3. Obviously with that one, even if you were to target that bottom point, you are still clicking a 1 to 4, but you get break even anyway. So it's kind of neither here or there. So if we're actually thinking about EU, got a really, really clean and quite an easy, realistically speaking, 1 to 3 to take. You're just following movement of price. That's a silly one to miss. Bit more in-depth read to catch that. Break even. Valid loss that I think 5 or 6 of us took. I don't know if Josh, you took that. I know Matt took it. I think you took that one as well with this cow. And then nothing on the Tuesday, and then obviously the grey area set up on the Monday that Cal, I know you took and took a break even on. So it's actually a really good week. You're up at least 2R from the week, at least. So it's definitely a fumble. Cool. GU. Sweet. You took GU on Wednesday? Sick. Sick. GU on Wednesday was fucking really nice. Okay. GU. Cool. So obviously we've had that major break, starting to work our way up. We've induced that demand to supply area there, come into that whole supply area, starting to work our way down. Price action here is garbage. You've got inducement of Asia high, inducement of Asia low. But what we then have, low outside of Asia that we've now induced. So that is a valid medium inducement. So you can then work with that area as a smart money trap. You really just mark the whole leg for simplicity. Huge area. But obviously there's not really anything inside here to work with as an entry. Call that obviously break. You could go 1 inducement, 2 inducement, but all this structure is just average. Just average. And given obviously where it's coming from, we wouldn't expect it to get all the way up there. So you could force something as in like an entry there like that. But yeah, it's just pretty average. The other side of this then as well is now you're taking retest. It's a really solid inducement. Again, smart money point, but there's just nothing inside here to work with. So valid area for buyers or sellers. You can look at it either way. But yeah, just nothing inside of there for us that's worth the squeeze. Like I said, not trading New York, so I won't worry about going over it. I had a feeling it was going to do that. Sweet. Tuesday, obviously really good inducement, but I'll never trade against that momentum. So just straight up invalid area. I'm not even going to go into it. And then Wednesday, this was clean as fuck. Unfortunately, I wasn't on the charts for this one. So what you've got, obviously bearish. Got that new bearish break there. Obviously extreme of our leg. Still got that supply area, got unmitigated portions of it. So this break here is our first break going against our momentum. So it's a really, really strong inducement. Obviously, we're quite bullish leading up to it, but given the strength of the inducement, we always want to be watching there if we can. It's a really strong medium inducement. You've got obviously targets built up here. We've got targets here of that break. You've got targets here. Got a lot of targets, lots to be able to work with. Mitigation of our smart money point. You have break, retest. Mitigating this point, we are inducing retest into the mitigation of that area. Then a smart money point there, which is confirmed through that break, setting it at the break of that low. Obviously now pushing through here, which is obviously really, really similar to that EU setup there, which is what we were anticipating for EU to do in our entry. It's like literally the same price action. GU is just so much cleaner, and obviously GU is pre-session. So it happens a lot beforehand, but same sort of thing. You break this, confirming this, expecting this break to confirm this, but yeah, cookie didn't crumble that way. Cool. So now that you've broken this low here, you're obviously at break even. You're done, sorted. This does get tagged in a couple minutes before session, which is not ideal, but given really good medium inducement, really good smart money chart confirmation, second layer of smart money chart confirmation, there's no reason to not take it really. It's super, super tidy. Where did you get in, Josh? Did you take that or did you get in after?
Uh, I'll find it.
All good. Let us know when. But yeah, targeting 1 to 3 at that low. You haven't got much else, obviously, to target. So just run your 1 to 3 on that. Obviously, this comes back up straight away. So feeling like the man after you've taken that.
It's a little later. I'll show you when it comes up.
All right, sweet, sweet. But yeah, once you've taken that, I don't see a whole lot to be able to work with from here. You do have break. The only issue is this point here. That demand is more or less a medium inducement, given that it's a valid demand and you've got liquidity into it. So it's swept liquidity and it is a 5 minute low. So you can view it as a medium inducement, which makes it a little bit tricky. This point here, it's a demand to supply, but it hasn't taken any liquidity. So I wouldn't really expect that to outweigh that. But given structure cycle being completed in terms of like break, decisional, mitigation, leg, pullback, mitigation, inducement. Wouldn't typically expect a point like this to hold.
That's where I got in.
That's where you get in, as in right there or this area. You get in there. Yeah, okay. Okay.
because of the SMT.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how do I clear it
Yeah.
every time? Panic, panic. Okay.
Yeah. 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 I know Brad and I were looking up in here, but there wasn't anything there. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Obviously aggressive on the break even, given that it's all internal structure. Juiceman. Oops. Did you cop a loss or break even?
Um, it should have been a break even, but it
I
was a
don't
lot.
I don't hate holding, to be honest. I actually don't.
I held through this. It just survived. It comes back down.
Yeah, I actually don't hate that it's a full loss. I don't love the price action. Um, I don't hate the loss
Not
because
great in the range.
at
Like
this,
I've got a problem with ranges. I think it's too low
yeah,
on the range.
yeah, it is very low in the range. It's also tricky because momentum, that's a better inducement than that. And the momentum from here is obviously quite strong, whereas the selling pressure's been not overly strong. But on the other side of that, yeah, I think just given the fact that this inducement is way stronger than this inducement warrants an aggressive break even. But you do have one layer of smart money, second layer, two leg. Yeah, I do think after that break, at the very least, you should be break even. Because if it doesn't go now, it's not going to go. So I think at the very least, you break even there. I think holding from here at that makes sense. So it shouldn't come back beyond that. And it very well shouldn't come beyond that after you've taken that. But if it's not going to go after you've done that as well, then it's not going to go. And now you're building up a fucking shit ton of liquidity. See, I don't hate the entry by any means. I just think, yeah, context with that one is pretty key. Bullish as fuck. Taken really the only point, you know what I mean, that we've got there to target. We've had a really strong reaction from it, slow sell off, two confirmations of smart money trap. Doesn't go after the second, you're gonna get smoked. Oh, I hate it when it does this. Cool. Worked it out though. Just got to figure out what time frame the other chart's on. Then you're sorted. Cool. See, obviously it ends up pushing, so that's a bit annoying. But yeah, that pre-market entry is just fucking so clean. Cool. All right. Again, really strong inducement, really strong mitigation of point that took liquidity. Pretty aggressive for Asia range, but understanding that this is a good inducement, this is a good mitigation, should outweigh this. So looking for that point to be a smart money trap. 5 minute break, liquidity, obviously those equal highs. That inducement here does, of course, start to confirm this as a smart money trap. Starts to form some pretty reasonable price action, break, retest, one inducement, two inducement, but pushes you straight into this point, which is a supply to demand that has induced really, really nicely. So you need to confirm that as a smart money trap. before being able to do anything with the entry, which obviously it doesn't. So valid spot to look for sells and almost set up, but no entry there. Sweet. All right. Friday, Brett and I both took a loss in the end. There is a valid sell afterwards. So what we've got, obviously induced that really strong point, come quite deep now into that bearish leg, obviously sitting all the way up here. So again, from a point where it makes sense to start to better follow that higher time frame bearish structure. We've also swept heaps of that liquidity there as well. So we're in a great spot. Medium inducement. Then obviously got internal breaks. You have that external break there. That should be, oops, fuck me. Cool. You've then got demand area to supply. So medium inducement being a valid demand to supply area, that is a 2 leg, so it's taking liquidity. Did mitigate some of this area up here as well, but I wasn't too focused on that. Looking at this area, there's a 5-minute point there. It's that whole 5-minute leg. You can use that, or you can use that point to be a smart money trap, but just understanding how filled all of this is, waiting for that low to really run in that area as your smart money area. One inducement, break, retest, second inducement, had it set off that break, looking to go break even at this low. It's probably a bit aggressive on this one and probably just a bit of brain fog, to be honest. EU at the same time or just prior. The inducement on GU, the second inducement is retest on EU. So probably should have sat out. I'm not overly mad about it by any means. Could have did have potential, especially given the bearish nature on both pairs, but probably could have been avoided. Not too mad about it though. But that pushed us through, so that's all good. Valid loss. You've then now got medium inducement, minor inducement. Oh, sorry guys, 1 sec. It's just failing here. Just 2 secs. Ah, fuck it. My car's intuitive. Maybe right.
You can
Fuck.
run if you want to run. It's
Ah,
okay.
I can't move my car anywhere anyway. There's
Oh,
absolutely nothing I can do about it.
oh,
Yeah, my car can't get up the driveway. It's too low.
oh, time to upgrade.
Yeah. Cool. So you got inducement, obviously little break, mitigation, looking to confirm that area now as a smart money trap. And we've got 3 legs, which is never ideal. So now we've got 3 legs and an extra confirmation. Look to confirm that next point is a smart money trap. Cool. Confirmed there. Getting in off the break. Break even at that low. Cool. Targeting just the low of the range for 1 to 3.5. And you're sorted. So all in all, like the week was actually a good week. like I was saying earlier, I think a lot of the fumbling and the reason that the week wasn't executed very well came from the start of the week being frustrating, getting in our heads. So I'm speaking for myself, getting in my head, and then missed executing, misreading specific parts, not being patient in certain areas, and things like that. So the week was really good. Honestly, Friday was the day of the week, and a lot of Friday probably came down to mental exhaustion from getting frustrated throughout the week. So it just goes to show the importance of approaching each day nice and fresh. So one of those ones, but good week. GU, you can take a -1 and a 3.5, even if you don't take the second trade because it's Friday, call it -1. No entry on the Thursday. Really clean 1 to 3 on the Wednesday. So you're up 2R and then nothing Monday, Tuesday. So call it 2R, playing devil's advocate that you don't take that next one. Plus EU, 3R. That came before the loss on GU. So maybe you take it, maybe you don't. Let's say you do. So you're up 5R, break even, a loss, 4R. So you're up 4R, really. Being conservative on the week. So, all in all, like I said, good week. Lots to learn from this week. This week's a lot to learn from a mindset perspective, not so much like a trade perspective. For all of us to be able to take into next week. And yeah, I'm going to go and try and figure out what I can do with my car. I don't know what I can do. I'm going to run and see if I get a doona on it or something. But
Good luck.
yeah, hopefully that made sense, fellas. I will go through that
Thanks.
group data. I'll just chuck some messages back in there when I get back
No
in.
worries. Thank you.
Sweet, easy guys. Have a good day.
Catch
I'll
ya.
speak to you soon.